Hello friends, many Indian students dream of studying in Canada. In order to realize this dream, it's important that you should know the entire admission process thoroughly and completely. Over the years, I have observed that students who had good grip of this admission process, for them it was just a cakewalk. I would not be wrong in quoting this statement that if you lack any information or you miss any step of the admission process, it can lead to the visa refusal also. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the entire admission process, right from the course selection to the application to the fee payment and finally the visa launchment. So please watch this video till the end as I'm gonna share some tips and tricks which can help you in this journey. So let's get started then.
First and foremost, let's understand what makes Canada an attractive country for Indian students. Why Canada attracts so many new students from India? Well, there are 5 points which makes Canada an ideal location. First is affordability. If we compare the cost of education and tuition fee structure with other developed countries like US, UK, Australia or New Zealand, then Canada has a relatively lower cost. But if we compare it with the Indian education system, then definitely this will sound too high. But friends, it's going to be a wrong comparison. It's like comparing apple with oranges. So Canada has a very affordable tuition fee structure. Second point is official language. There are two official languages of Canada. One is English and French. French is largely spoken in Quebec while English is spoken all around Canada. So compared with other nationalities, Indians have added advantage when it comes to English as most of our schooling is either now in English medium or somewhere or other English has been taught as the official subject during our schooling. So ability to speak and understand English will help you in learning easily while you will study in Canadian colleges and universities. It will also help you in communicating and finding part-time work along with your studies and full-time job after your studies. Third point is quality education. Canadian education is globally recognized and considered as equivalent to those obtained from US or UK. Canada's high academic standards and rigorous quality controls mean that you will be earning a high quality education that will open doors for a better future. Canadian education system also encourages the development of transferable skills like critical thinking, teamwork and communication skills, and it uses cutting edge technology and digital media. Most of the teachers or professors or the faculty members have come from the corporate world or they have some or other industry exposure that helps them in teaching more relevant education. As per one survey, 5 Canadian universities are among top 100 best universities in the world. So, Canada offers you a complete package of the quality education. The fourth point is quality of life. Thanks to close proximity to nature, its cultural diversity, its environment, safety, security, and values, Canada offers excellent life and it has a good value. It is politically stable and has a good job market and a well-developed education system. It is also seen as having the most developed public healthcare system. The last point is friendly PR options. Undoubtedly, Canada is a popular choice for those looking to migrate. Friendly policies of Canada and government's encouragement of migrants to come and settle in Canada has worked in its favor. There are many immigration programs using which you can attain your permanent residency. After completion of your studies, most of the students can get PR in 6 months to 1 year period. Before we go to the admission process, let's understand what all you will require to reach Canada. There are 3 important things which you need to figure out if you want to study in Canada. First, from where you're gonna do the IELTS, you need to find out good IELTS coaching center. Second, you need to understand the money required in the whole process and you need to figure out a way to meet all your expenses. So start talking to your parents or your sponsor and understand how much money do they have in their bank account so that they can start making necessary arrangements, and when time will come to pay the fee, there should not be any delay on this front. If needed, start reaching out to bankers also to understand the education loan process and the formalities. Last, you need to catch hold of a good admission consultant as the whole process needs to be completed without any glitches or any delay. So talk to your friends, family or seniors and figure out few consultants. Go and visit all these consultants and get your assessment done so that you can finalize the consultant. Now we'll see the admission process. For ease of understanding, I have broken down the entire process into 5 steps. So first step is to apply in college or university. Here you need to understand the basic requirement for the admission. Talking about the major intakes, Canada has got 3 major intakes spread across the year. Largest intake is fall intake, for which application starts around December and the session starts in September month. In this intake you will find almost all colleges and universities will have almost all the programs, and there are maximum number of seats in this intake. So the second largest intake is going to be the winter intake, for which the session starts in January and the application process starts somewhere around April. Third largest intake is spring intake, and the classes start somewhere around May and the school starts accepting applications from September onwards. Not all colleges or all programs will be available in this intake. There gonna be few colleges or universities who gonna have an intake in between all these intakes. So please check the college website to understand which program is available in which intake. The understanding of intake is very important because you need to start your admission process accordingly. Just like India, Canadian education is also divided between colleges and universities, and each one of them has its own advantages. In colleges, you will find classroom learning versus practical learning in the ratio of 60 to 40%, while most of the universities program will largely focus on the theoretical aspect. There gonna be some practical aspect also in the university programs. Course content and the teaching approach in college is vitally aligned towards the industry job market so that you can find your job easily. So basically, college program will make you ready for the job immediately, while university program offer courses that will develop your knowledge and skill in a specific area. If you compare colleges and universities on the tuition fee structure, then again colleges gonna generally charge a lower tuition fee vis-a-vis university fee structure. The class size in college is mostly small, and it will be in the range of 20 to 40 students per class, while university will have a larger strength in a class and it will run into 60 to 100 students per class. Every college and university has a DLI number. DLI is Designated Learning Institute, which is a unique number given to the college or university by the Canadian government. So when your consultant advises you few colleges or universities, please definitely check or ask them about the DLI number and check it on the government website whether this is an authorized college or not. This will help you in making a right selection. Now we'll understand program duration and work permit. Canada offers variety of program structure and each of them has its own PGWP entitlement. PGWP stands for Postgraduate Work Permit, which means how much time you will get after your studies to work in Canada. So once you are on a work permit, you can find full-time work and build your points to earn a PR. There are 4 options at the undergraduate level. So first is you can do a 1-year certificate program, which is going to be a post-secondary certificate program which will entitle you for a 1-year work permit. That means after the completion of this 1-year certificate program, you can only work for 1 year. Then the second option is that you can go for a 2-year diploma program, after which you will be eligible to work for up to 3 years. The third program structure is advanced diploma. You're gonna study for 3 years and that will also lead to a work permit up to 3 years after your completion of the studies. The last option is degree, a bachelor degree. The bachelor degree will range between 3 to 4 years. Some colleges and universities will have a 3-year degree program, and some colleges will offer a 4-year degree program. So you need to check out the college website that how long gonna be this degree program. After the completion of degree, again you're gonna get work permit up to 3 years. I would like to clarify that degree will give you extra points while applying for the PR. So besides many other benefits of doing a degree, this is one of a major benefit which will help you in getting your PR quickly. Hypothetically speaking, if there is only one PR left in Canada and there are 2 candidates, one of them has done a diploma and the other who has done a degree, then you guys can easily understand then PR officer will definitely be inclined more towards the one who has done the degree. So that's the value of doing a degree. But again, at the end of the day, the choice is yours. You can go for a 2-year diploma program, or you can go for an advanced diploma or a degree depending upon your career interest. Coming to the program options at the postgraduate level, so graduates or the postgraduate applicants who want to go to Canada, there are 2 choices. Either you can go for a 1-year long postgraduate diploma program, or you can go for a 2-year long postgraduate diploma program. 1-year program will get you a work permit of 1 year and 2-year postgraduate diploma will get you a work permit up to 3 years. One important point over here, 80 to 85% of program in Canada are for 1 year. So finding a 2-year program can be slightly difficult, but you need not to worry or drop your plan. What you can do is this: you can opt for a 1-year program right now, and once you have reached there in Canada, towards the end of the completion of your first program, you can find one more PG program which gonna be again for 1 year. So that's how you can do 2 years of continuous study, which will make you eligible for a 3 years work permit. As you can see on your screen that I have mentioned PG diploma, and down below I have given a pointer that some colleges call it as PG diploma and some colleges call it as PG certificate. It's just the nomenclature, but there is a very fine difference. But at the end of the day, you're gonna be entitled for 3 years work permit or 1 year work permit depending on the duration. Universities will offer either the master's program, or it will be a PG diploma or a postbaccalaureate diploma. PGWP, post graduation work permit, is an important aspect in the whole equation. So please note that all colleges and all programs are not eligible for the work permit. So while finalizing a program or a college or a university, please cross check whether the course college option which your consultant has suggested you or your friend has advised you will help you in getting work permit or not. For this, please visit Canada government website, the link of which is given in the video description, where you can find all the details. So this is the page of the Canadian website where we can find the post graduation work permit eligibility. So if we scroll it down, so here we will see a drop down menu wherein all the province and territory of Canada has been mentioned. For the testing purpose, let's pick up Ontario region. So here, once we have selected the Ontario, all colleges and universities in the Ontario province have listed down. The first column is the name of the institute. The second column is the designated learning institution number, which I told you some time back that every college gets a DLI number. Then the city, then the campuses. So a college can have multiple campuses, so the campuses details are mentioned. And last, postgraduate work permit, whether it is available or not. So as you can see on your screen right now, for the first row, if someone is applying in A1 Global College of Health, Business and Technology, and he or she is going to the campus, East Campus or the West Campus in the Mississauga city, then please note that there is no work permit for any of the program. So this is the first option which one can see when it comes to the postgraduate work permit. Let's look at the another option. Here is one, the feature of the filter is given. So if we mention the name of a college, say Seneca over here, so we'll get to see the result related to the Seneca search. In the first row, if I see if someone is applying in the Markham campus of the Seneca College, so offers PGWP eligible program, it says yes, which means that any and every program offered in the Markham campus of the Seneca College will come with the postgraduate work permit. Similarly, rest of the campuses of the Seneca College will also have post work permit, as mentioned yes over here. So we have seen no, we have seen yes when it comes to the postgraduate work permit. There is one more option. Let's look at that option also. So there is one university, Yorkville University in Ontario region. So let's look at what is the third option. Here you can see in this row, yes with details have been mentioned. This is the third option. So this means that there are some conditions. It is not a clearly yes, or there is not blanket denial that there is no work permit. So let's look at the conditions. So as you can see on the screen, it says that you are eligible for a post graduation work permit if you complete one of the degrees below and also meet other criteria for the postgraduate work permit. So it means that if you are going for one of these degrees like Bachelor of Interior Design or Bachelor of Business Administration with a specialization of the project management, you will be eligible for the postgraduate work permit. But if you are going for a degree other than what has been mentioned over here, you will not be eligible for the postgraduate work permit. By now, you know which all kinds of programs are available in Canada. Now let's understand what can be the journey path after the completion of different programs. The first program, post-secondary certificate. After the completion of post-secondary certificate, you can straightforward go for a full-time work, or you can proceed with the higher studies. I generally recommend that you should go for the higher studies, which will give you a better chance to earn your PR degree. Second, after the completion of a 2-year diploma, you can go for the work option, or you can go with the higher studies in the form of the advanced diploma or degree. Many colleges have tie-up with the universities wherein after the completion of diploma at the college, you can proceed with the completion of degree in a linked university. You can check all these details on the college website. After the completion of the advanced diploma, you can straightforward join a work, or you can go for a degree or a post-graduation. Some colleges do accept advanced diploma for their post-graduation diploma also. If you have done degree, then either you can join the work or you can go for the post-graduation. And if you have done the post-graduation, you can straightforward go for the work mode. Related to this, let's also understand that the work rights as a student. Firstly, you need to understand that there are strict rules around the time limits when it comes to work while you study. As a full-time student, you can work for 20 hours a week, and during your vacations, you can work for maximum 40 hours a week. Please be careful for not exceeding these time limits, as it can cost you your PR. There have been few cases wherein students who have breached the time limits were deported by the Canadian Immigration Department. There is one thumb rule for good visa success rate, which is selecting a relevant program. There should be very clear connection between your higher studies or what you are doing at your workplace and the program which you want to study in Canada. If there is no relevancy or the natural progression, then either you will not get admission in your college, or visa officer might refuse your application on this ground. In my experience, this is one major reason behind the study visa rejection. Canadian visa officers will appreciate if you can prove the relevancy, but if you fail to do so, even if you have very good academic or IELTS score, your visa application can be rejected. Just to give you an idea, a commerce student can go for a general business or business program with some kind of a specialization like accounting, sales, marketing, operations, or a commerce background student can go for international business management, GBM, MBA, etc. But they can't go for a program which is not related to the business stream. Similarly, a non-medical background student can apply for IT or computer related program, or mechanical or civil or architecture, but he or she cannot apply for a non-related program such as like hospitality or tourism or maybe early childhood program. So relevancy has to be there. If you are an experience holder, then nature of your work or profile will also help you in choosing a relevant program, which may or may not be connected to your graduation. Supposedly, you have done a Bachelor of Arts and you are working as in an event management company, then you can go for a postgraduate course in the event management stream. Or if you are working in a tourism or hospitality industry after BA, then you can go for a post-graduation course in the tourism or hospitality, because there is a complete and clear linkage between your work and your program chosen. So choose your course wisely. Let's understand the IELTS requirement. IELTS requirement vary from program to program. However, for the undergraduate course, you need to have 6 overall with no less than 6 in each module. But there are some colleges which also accept 6 overall with 5.5 in one module. But you need to check the program requirements on the college or university website. If you are applying for a postgraduate program, then largely 6.5 overall with no less than 6 is required, but few institutes also accept 6.5 overall with 5.5 in one module, or 6 overall with no less than 6 in each module. Please carefully read IELTS requirement on the institute website so that there is no confusion on this front. Coming to the application process, once you have selected the program, intake, college, and you know that you are satisfying all the eligibility criteria, it is time to apply in a college. Every college university has a different application fee structure for applying. It ranges from $0 to 215 Canadian dollars. Most of the institute charge application fee around 100 Canadian dollars. You can pay fee using your credit card, or you can pay in cash to your consultant. While making application, you have to submit various documents such as passport. Please note that the passport should be valid. You need to submit your IELTS scorecard. You need to submit your academic documents like grade 10th mark sheet, grade 12th mark sheet, or a diploma mark sheet if you have done after the grade 10. You would be required to give your transcripts for each semester also of your diploma. If you have done graduation or your post-graduation, then you need to submit the mark sheet for each and every semester, your degree certificates. Please note that backlog is very important, as colleges and university generally don't accept very high backlogs. So even if you don't have any backlog, then also the backlog certificate is required. If you are having any work experience, you need to produce work experience related documents also. Generally, experience letter is good enough, but if you can produce more documents like your salary slips and all, that will also be good. Every institute has its own turnaround time, so you also need to be mentally prepared to wait at least for suitable time instead of getting impatient. While you are getting your profile assessed, please try to understand from the consultant about the processing time so that you can start your working accordingly. One golden advice I would like to give you all that is at least apply in 2 to 3 institutes instead of just focusing on one, as you never know by the time your application is picked up by the college for the processing, seats in your preferred program might get over or something else might has happened. So keep couple of backup options. So once you have received the offer letter from your college, please go through it carefully as all important information pertaining to your tuition fee payment will be mentioned there. Sometimes institute might also ask you to send the transcript of your graduation or post-graduation directly from your Indian college or university. So please read it very carefully and do as instructed. Now it's time to pay the tuition fee, and let's look at the points related to it. Tuition fee structure varies from institute to institute and from program to program. Generally speaking, tuition fee structure in colleges will be in the range of Canadian $13,000 to $20,000 per year, and in universities it will be in the range of 18,000 Canadian dollars to 24,000 Canadian dollars. It can be lower or more than that. However, before applying, you can check tuition fee structure on the institute website. Once you have got the offer, it will be clearly mentioned in the offer letter itself. Some colleges will ask for the minimum security deposit of 1,000 Canadian dollars or 2,500 Canadian dollars, or maybe up to one semester fee to secure your seat. And balance fee can be paid after some time, but before visa application. In the offer letter, payment mode will also be mentioned. It can be directly paid to the institute through wire transfer mechanism, or college might instruct you to pay it through Flywire or Western Union or CIBC mode. So please follow the instructions as mentioned in the offer letter. So the next point is who can pay the tuition fee. So it can be paid from the student's account, parent's account, grandparent's account, or your spouse account. In exceptional cases, it can also be paid from a close relative's account. However, you need to give the relationship proof. Also, you need to provide the PAN card and the Aadhaar card while processing the tuition fee payment, which is required or which is as mandated by the RBI. Please note that fee can only be paid from the savings bank account or education loan account. It cannot be paid from the current account or overdraft account. These are the instructions as laid down by the Reserve Bank of India. Once you have paid the fee, you will get the letter of admission, which is also known as LOA, and the fee receipt from your institute. So once the tuition fee has been paid, it's time to fund your GIC account. Let's understand everything around GIC. GIC stands for the Guaranteed Investment Certificate account. Canadian government has mandated that Indian applicants need to open a GIC account before applying for the visa, which will be used to meet your first year's living expense while you are in Canada. The idea is that you focus on your studies instead of struggling to earn money to meet your daily expenses. Also, when you will land in Canada, then you will need good amount of money to settle down and start your new life. This account can be opened in the Canadian banks, and largely students prefer Nova Scotia Bank, which is basically a State Bank of India of Canada in terms of its reach and number of branches. The entire process of opening the GIC account is online, with no need of visiting any branch in India or no need of sending any documents through courier. So go to the bank website and search for the GIC account and follow the steps mentioned therein. It is advisable to do this step parallelly along with your college application process so as to avoid any delays later. Once you have got your account number, you have to send Canadian $10,000 to your GIC account. Additionally, you have to pay 150 to 200 Canadian dollars as processing charges to the bank. So basically, you will be required to send $10,150 to 10,200 Canadian dollars depending upon bank which you will select. Funds can be paid from the student's account or parents or grandparents or your spouse account. Please note that the fee can only be paid from savings bank account. Once the funds have been credited to the GIC account, you will receive a GIC certificate on your registered email address within 8 to 10 working days from the date of transfer. This is your own money which will be paid back to you in installments. When you first reach Canada, you can go to the nearest branch of the bank where you have opened your GIC account. They will open a student savings account for you and transfer 2000 Canadian dollars immediately, which you can keep it in your account or withdraw it to meet your initial settlement expense like paying security, rental, or whatever is required to settle down. Thereafter, you're gonna get 666 Canadian dollar every month up till next 12 months. You will also be entitled to get some interest on your money deposited in the GIC account. For the same, you have to check the bank's website. Till now, we have covered the application process, tuition fee payment and GIC funding steps. Now it's time to get the medical test done. Let's see what all you need to know for this. Medical test is mandatory for Canadian visa application process. It is required to assess your healthiness and well-being, on the basis of which embassy will decide whether you qualify for visa or not on the medical front. Canadian Embassy has impaneled various laboratories or hospitals or doctors in major cities of India from where you can get these tests done. The details of the impaneled doctors are provided on the Canadian website and link of it can be found in the description of this video. Please note that no other doctor or hospital can do this test. Every doctor or hospital has its own way of taking the appointment, so better you call them beforehand and take your appointment rather than just walking in. This test is going to be valid for 12 months from the date of the test. Test report will not be shared with you as it is sent to the embassy in encrypted manner. You will only get one medical tracking sheet which needs to be uploaded while making the visa application. Here is one important tip. 5 to 7% of visa rejections or delay comes on the account of the medical reasons. As I just told you that you will not get your medical report, so you may not get to know the outcome of the medical test. So in order to safeguard yourself, what you can do is that you can get the CBC and the chest x-ray done from an outside laboratory or a hospital, wherein you can check if you have any infection or any problem in the CBC report, or you have any TB spots in the chest x-ray. If there is any problem, it is advisable that you get it treated first before you go for the final medical. Now it's time for the visa lodgement. So let's understand important things related to it. Back in 2018, Canadian government has introduced a SGS system, which is Student Direct Stream for Indian applicants. In simple words, it's a fast track window for your visa application processing. However, in order to qualify for this, you need to satisfy the main conditions. First, you need to have IELTS of overall 6 with no less than 6. You should have GIC account funded with $10,000 as mentioned to you earlier. Also, you need to pay 1 year full tuition fee initially. In case you don't fulfill any one of these conditions, then you will not qualify for the SGS, but you can apply your visa application in a general category, which in other words or in practice is also called as non-SGS. Also, I would like to clarify one thing here, that many people call college as SGS college, which means that college will accept applicants which will satisfy the SGS criteria. So all such colleges will issue letter of admission to students only upon receipt of first year complete tuition fee. Let's understand few more important parameters regarding visa application. SGS file can only be lodged in an online mode, while the general file can be lodged either online or offline. 235 Canadian dollars are the charges toward the application fee, out of which 85 Canadian dollar is for the biometric fee. If you are lodged visa under SGS category, then you can expect your decision within 3 weeks time. But if you have done it in the general category, then you can expect a decision within 4 to 5 weeks. One important observation which I would like to share with all of you is that if you apply your visa under the SGS route, then visa success rate will be as high as 90%. But if you do under the general category, then it will be 70 to 75%. So it is advisable that you fulfill all the conditions of the SGS. If you are applying your visa with 5.5 in one module, then I would advise you to pay first year tuition fee completely, fund your GIC account, and also show some extra financials in terms of the CA net worth report or the bank account statement, as that will improve your visa success rate. There are few steps in the whole visa application which I am going to explain it to you in brief. First, you have to submit your application along with your required documents such as letter of admission, fee receipt, GIC certificate, medical tracking sheet, your academic document, your work experience document, and most importantly, statement of purpose, also known as SOP. SOP is very important piece of document as that's the only way you can pitch your case to the visa officer. So please do a good job in writing and if needed take a professional help on this front. At this step itself you have to pay the application fee of Canadian dollars 235 as mentioned to you earlier. Within couple of days from the submission you will get a biometric instruction letter requesting you to submit your biometrics. Next step is to book your appointment for submitting the biometric. Visit VFS website, book an appointment of the nearest VFS center, visit there on the particular day and carry your biometric instruction letter along with your passport. Once the embassy has reached your decision, they will send you a message to arrange to submit your passport for the further processing, which means that your visa has been approved. Again, you have to visit the nearest VFS center to submit your passport. Please remember to carry your passport request letter along with the passport. Depending upon your choice of passport collection mode, either it will be sent to you through courier or you will be sent a message to pick it up from the VFS center. As soon as you get your visa, please email it to your college or university about the same. Do send the visa copy and supporting visa approval letter, which you will get it from the embassy. You must check your registered email on a regular basis as your institute will send several mails before joining, which could pertain to registration or some additional document request. It is important to comply with all those requirements. If you have got login details of the student portal, then keep checking the student portal as well. So one important advice here, when you are booking your air ticket, ensure that you don't fly to Canada before 21 days from the date of start of your classes. Otherwise, it can lead to some problem at the immigration. On the day of travel, please carry photocopies of the important documents like offer letter, letter of acceptance, fee receipt, GIC certificate, TT copy, study visa approval letter because it will be required for the immigration purpose.
So with this, we have come to the end of this video. I hope that you will find this information very useful in shaping your career. So if you have any doubt, please mention it below in the comment section and I would ensure that it is replied at the earliest. Please like and share this video and subscribe this channel. Thank you.